Hi, I'm here with Matthew Tonner, who produced our album.
Hey guys, it's
And
good to be here.
thank you for having this chat with me.
Absolutely, of course, man.
And for anybody watching who doesn't know, what would you say a producer does here?
Well, that's a great question. Sometimes the producer just is pacing around the studio talking to himself, but I think probably the best way that I like to think about it is that a producer is in charge of uh, helping an artist to find what their sound can be. Basically, to show them all the possibilities that they are opening up with their songs, with their arrangements. It's really the person who is kind of like a director in the film world to some degree. You're pretty much responsible for the overall sound of the record. So that's it in a nutshell. There's a lot of it that goes into it, of course, but it's fun. It's a fun job. I mean, it's really exhilarating. It's something I love to do.
You were also a quite the utility player on
Yeah,
Oregon.
I was kind of the sixth man of this basketball team.
Sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth, I would say.
Yeah, a couple chances to to play some keyboards, play some stringed instruments, and just kind of accent things here and there, which are fun for texture. And I think I even snuck into a couple of the gang vocal things and big harmony moments. Just couldn't resist, getting a little bit of myself on there. But it's mostly just kind of providing a space for the artist to like express themselves and get a good performance, and kind of being like a coach in a way. And then like helping to make a lot of creative decisions which have to be made throughout the course of the process, which can be somewhat tedious. So
Yeah, most of our songs were pretty mature when we recorded them, so
it's funny. I was thinking about that. You guys, there's so much real life stuff on here. You guys have been through so much in your personal lives and in making this record, and but then there's also some songs that have been with you the entire time, as well as stuff that was basically brand new when we took it in, and that both of those things kind of present their own challenges, because it's a lot easier to maybe take something that has a little bit of a direction rather than just like throwing paint on a blank canvas. But at the same time, you want to make it all sound new and fresh. And I think that if you actually look at this track list and listen to it, and you didn't know, that there are some older songs, some newer songs, like you probably wouldn't be able to tell. Like it all sounds of one piece, and that's something I'm really proud of.
yeah. And I was
I'm proud of you guys.
Thanks.
For listening to me and then not always listening to me.
Well, I would say 98% of your suggestions were good. And the other 2%, the other two were good too.
The other two we don't need to talk.
We were just being stubborn. But there was a couple. I know personally that I looked at you as a great songwriting resource too, because I know you and Ivory felt like every couple of weeks I'd be like, "Hey Matt, I've got this song. I need some help polishing."
Yeah. We did help. We did work on finishing a couple songs. That was really cool.
And Better Now, which is the 10th track on the album, you actually co-wrote that one. That's one of my favorite tracks on the album. I love how that one came out.
Oh, awesome.
So,
yeah, man. It sounds a lot different than the demo on my iPhone of the you playing guitar and me playing mandolin and both just kind of singing and making up words. But I think that was a really strong foundation. I love starting a song like that where you just have a really solid melody and lyrics. Doesn't take much more than that to at least like spark the creativity that you need to make a great track.
Yeah, and that's some of the, so especially like that was something relatively new for us. And most of our stuff we had already arranged and everything, and we went in and we recorded it the way we played it live, and that was it. And this record's very different because of that. What were you listening for when you had the raw material? About what was it? Strikes of inspiration, or did you go home and chew on it for a little bit, or how does as a producer what was your process there?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. It's for some it's an exact science. Not as much for me. I mean, I do like to listen a lot to kind of the raw materials of just like simple iPhone demos or scratch tracks or what have you, and just kind of get certain things bouncing around in my head. That's kind of what we're all striving for. Ultimately, right, is that there's some feeling that you get when you think about the finished song, and then trying to work backwards from that and figure out like what are the kind of component parts that we need to put on it to get it to that place. And it doesn't always work out the way that you hoped. In fact, most of the time it really doesn't. And you want to leave a little bit of room for that creative spark, maybe a little bit of improvisation in the studio. Everything changes when that little red light goes on, right? Like,
Yep.
You might have done it 100 times, but you just decide to throw on something new this one time, and it makes the performance better. Obviously, also the whole process of editing and like mixing and balancing things and figuring out what take is staying in, and that's a whole process unto itself. So I'm not sure if that quite answered the question or not, but yeah, I mean, it was really fun to have so much, like, even of songs that have been out there for a long time, be able to take them in a new direction that I think is going to really breathe a lot of new life into it. So.
Do you have a favorite track of the ones we did on the album?
It's a really great question. I mean, it's like I mean, I don't have any children, but
they're all your children.
You want to think that you love them all just the
all right.
same.
Of the 11, if you had to have one of the children that you didn't kill, which one would it be?
So they're all
All 11
dead.
are your children,
Oh my God.
and you have to pick one.
Yeah.
Which is the one that you?
I mean, it's probably between a couple of. I really love this title track. Bustin Out is just a fantastic song. That's a hard question. I mean, obviously that's the one that jumps to mind. But we were listening to Barricades on the way over here, and I'm just like, man, just listen to that, like the way the banjo and the piano and the organ all play off of each other in the background, and like Dan's vocal performance is just like this one big crescendo throughout the whole thing, and I'm like, that's such a cool piece. Yeah, I mean, those are probably the two that I most frequently come back to. But there's also just all kinds of cool stuff that I listen to throughout. Like the just the really kick-ass like rhythm section, bass and drum stuff, and Nova and Crusader, and the first song that we worked on was Clay Pigeons, and that was a really fun track for me to come in on because it was brand new. You had just finished it, and it's got these really like mysterious lyrics, and yet this like really easy riding kind of hook and groove, and so yeah, coming in on that, and literally the first thing I did was like come in and pick like the pieces of the drum kit that were going to get played, and putting them in front of JB and saying, all right, here, you do this, and don't pay attention to what I'm going to do with this Les Paul, but I'm just going to put this over my shoulder, I'm going to play this over the demo, and that's kind of how it started. So yeah, definitely not going to answer that question.
No,
I guess I called out more than enough.
Cliff Pigeons was fun because that one we just had the guitar part, and the vocals, and then I remember going into the studio and then coming out and being like, we have like a whole arrangement now. That wasn't quite how I thought this was going to go. It worked out good.
Well, and hopefully that kind of convinced you that it's like this could be a good collaboration or a way for us to go about it, because yeah, that was an awesome start, man. I liked when you can start off with something that's like almost its own like blank gray hunk of clay, pun intended. That always like just gets everybody excited. I feel, at least when you have the right group of musicians in the room. So.
You have produced a few other things too. Is there anything that you would like to?
A few, plug? Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, I'm in the 502s. I wasn't in the band when I started producing their record, but I played so many instruments on it, they just couldn't go on without me, or something like that, is how the story goes. But that album, Because We Had To, it came out in June, and it's available everywhere on the streaming platforms. And a couple of the guys even have some credits, as we were just talking about, on the gang vocal parts. And yeah, I mean, I have my own solo project now. It's just called Tonner. I'm still working on a lot of stuff for that. Earlier this year, I worked on an electronic project with my friend Tessa called Destima, Destima. It's on Spotify. It's a lot different than this, but it's good to just sometimes take a total left turn. Yeah, I'd say that those are the things that I'm most proud of currently.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I'm working on some more stuff too that I can't even really mention right now, but it's still in the gestation periods. If you would like to have your album produced by me, you can find me, MatthewThompson.com.
We're gonna tag the crap out of him on all of this. So
Yeah, I'm out there.
cool. Well, thanks for stopping by, and
Yeah, absolutely.
thank
man.
you for producing the album.
Thanks for giving me a great set of songs to work on.
And it's finally here.
Yeah,
So
this is awesome. This
Matt
is the
Tonner's
first-
name is right about there.
Yeah, this is the first time that we're getting to see this. I don't know if it's recording because it's paused, but yeah, man, it's been a great experience. I'm so glad to see it come to fruition.
Cool.
So
Well, thank you.
yeah, cheers.
All right.